It's a new week in the Crew Motorfest, and this week's theme is called Rosso Adrenalina, and this is my summit guide. Let's go! All right, jumping right into it. The summit bundle this week will get you the F40 LM racing car, the 599XX Evo racing car, and the 488 GT3 racing car. You're really not going to need any additional vehicles. There is one event that has a couple of loan vehicles that you don't need to buy those. And the feats are all slalom, so it really just depends on whether or not you have score breaker on a particular class. There's two of the feats that require specific, like Ferrari racing or a specific Ferrari racing vehicle, and the other one has no restrictions. But honestly, you could just use a racing car as long as you have score breaker. So that's what you're going to need for this summit. Now, the key to this summit is getting used to the pro racing modifier. This is a very unique modifier for this summit. It actually takes away your speedometer, your tachometer, your mini map. We have no NOS, and it actually puts you in cockpit view. And because of that, the game gets a little bit harder for most of you that haven't done this. Now, in certain cars, you don't really have visibility of the tachometer that's on the dashboard of the car. And with those cars, if you're struggling to figure out where you're shifting and you're used to shifting in manual, I do recommend going to automatic. Automatic in the Crew Motorfest is really not that bad. So I recommend doing that if you're struggling finding your shift points. If not, and you feel comfortable just listening to the car, obviously you can still do manual. All right, here are the pro settings for the cars that I just mentioned. All right, in the first event, we're actually going to be using two different cars. Both of them are loaned, so you don't have to worry about pro settings or parts or anything like that. None of that stuff matters. In this event, it is all on the track. So there's only a couple of spots where you're going to need to have some sort of advice that I can give you. The rest of this is just understanding racing lines. And so for this, I really don't have a lot of advice, but I will start with the start of the race. And this goes for literally anything you're doing in the game, whether you're doing a playlist race, you're doing the grand races, it does not matter. This starting tactic works every single time. So this only works for manual, not automatic, by the way. When you see the number 2 on the countdown, right there, the very first frame with number 2, you hold the trigger completely all the way down, like basically full gas. And by doing that, the car is going to break traction just a little bit, and then TCS is going to kick in, and you're going to be off and running. It works every single time. It's the fastest, most consistent way to start races. And I strongly recommend it here because it definitely gives you a tiny little advantage rather than, you know, spinning out at the beginning of the race. Let's move on to some of the things you can watch out for in this race. So I would say this first corner right here, this is one you want to make sure you hit the gutter on. I did not in this clip. It's especially useful for this car because this car is a little bit older. This is also a gutter turn here. All right, here at the end of the straight, you also need to use the gutter here. I barely tapped it, but probably wasn't enough to help me get through it any faster. Now again, you have no NOS, and this is actually one of the cars where the tachometer is blocked by the steering wheel. So if you want to use automatic for this race, that would be recommended as well. And finally, we have this corner here at about 50% of the race, which I completely blew. You got to try to gutter that as well. Outside of that, it's just racing lines and try to keep as much speed as you possibly can. Let's move on. All right, on the second event, you're going to be using the Ferrari F40 LM. And this one really could benefit from having a slipstream partner. I didn't test it for slipstream, but you're going to knock off at least 4 to 7 seconds, maybe even more, if you had a slipstream partner. Now, I would recommend exercising some control around this part of the race. It's very easy to crash into the walls there. You don't really need to cut the dirt. It's not going to help you any. But there is one tricky turn right up here. Let me fast forward. Right after this long sweeper there. It's hard to know where the braking zone is. I always judge it by just before this red paint on this, what do you call this? This little track here against the wall. Just before that red paint, it is essentially the first flag in these line of flags. That's your braking point. Brake very heavy, go all the way down to second gear. And in this one, I think I was in automatic, which is why it dropped me down to second, but that's where you want to be. So I strongly recommend that. I don't know that there's really anything else with this course other than just, you know, trying to keep as much speed as possible and get around the track. I'm sorry, I don't really have a lot of advice here. let's move on. All right, the third event is also with the Ferrari F40. And some of the trickiest parts here is the beginning. So you definitely want to try to stay away from the AI. What I did is I went off to the right, and then I used this gutter right here to sort of avoid them and also take the turn a little faster. So that's kind of the trick for that one. Now, as far as the like basics of this track go, it's all about keeping speed through these high speed sections here. And in order to do that, you kind of have to set yourself up the turn before by taking the turn before as fast as possible without losing traction. So you want to be on the gas mid-turn. So on this one, for example, you're in third gear. I'm already on the gas here, half throttle. Then I get on full throttle towards the end of the turn. Now, the other tricky part is this turn up here at the end of the straight. So what I do is slow down basically right where the racing line meets, where you drive through the racing line. And you should be setting yourself up for this gutter right here. The same gutter that you took, this one right here. Same gutter that you took at the very beginning in the first lap. So here's what it looks like full speed. Brake, into third, take the gutter. And then you can set yourself up for this corner here. So that's basically it. Outside of that, not much advice. So let's move on. All right, in the third event, I used the F40 when I had no slipstream partner. And this one is literally all about slipstream. Like, you can shave 10 seconds off your run. I actually shaved like 9 point something seconds off my F40 run with a different car and slipstream. The F40 is a good car, but I think the 488 GT3 is just a better pick. It's got a higher top speed, particularly in slip, and you can really knock off a lot of seconds. So something that is solo, if you're not running into the walls, you know, you should be getting a time somewhere around 24. I think that's where I was. Yeah, I ran a 24.7, so it's not perfect. Let me show you what it looks like with slipstream. So with slipstream, with the 488 GT3, fast forward to the end here, and we're sitting at a 15, a low 15 as well. That's insane, dude. That's insane. This is actually, at the time, was WR, I believe. Yeah, Simji and I both got WR right there. And that's with, you know, with slipstream. Probably wasn't even that optimized. I think someone jacked the WR like right afterwards. Either way, you're looking at almost a 10-second difference. This one in particular, slipstream, is very, very useful. All right, event number 5 is with the 599XX Evo. And this one's a little bit rear end happy, like it likes to get a little loose, and it's because of the throttle. So in all of the hairpins, in all of the gutters, you should be at half throttle. Just don't force it. Just be patient with the car in the gutters and on those like really, really tight turns, because the car will just take off on you. It has a lot of torque steer. That being said, this course does have quite a few little like tricks and little like, what do you call them? Shortcuts. Shortcuts, that's what they're called. Let me fast forward to those. So going up this hill, you're looking at basically gutter turn after gutter turn after gutter turn. So try to stay in the gutter if you can. I fell out a couple of times. All right, this is the first real cut here at about 70% or so. Now you may want to stay wide for this turn, but it's actually better to take this gutter and go left of this checkpoint, because you can cut across the grass. It's a little bit faster. Then you can, after this right-hander, you can cut across this parking lot. Just downshift a couple of times. Control it, going across the parking lot. If you slide and hit the wall, not that big of a deal. You're not going to lose a lot of speed doing that. When you get to the end of this straight, you're going to cut this corner as well. And you should be doing this in the grand race as well. This is a corner that you have in the grand races. Cut the corner. I slid a little bit. I didn't mean to. And then cut this corner immediately afterwards. Watch out for the construction materials. And then finally, we have a cut at the end of the race. It's this left-hand corner. So the visual cue is this checkpoint. You should be going towards this checkpoint on the left side of this brownish, orangish tree. So that's what you're looking for, that left side checkpoint. And there you go. Let's move on. All right, and finally, we have the last one. This is the 488 GT3. This race sucks. It's very difficult to get a good score on. It is all gutter turns, and this car does not like to gutter. So be as patient as you can. There's not really a lot of cuts. There's really nothing I can show you that's going to help you make better gutter turns. It's up to you to actually perform on this one. And unfortunately, that's just the unfortunate nature. So yeah, that's it. Now there is one little trick that you could try but I really wouldn't spend too much time on it, and that is the wall ride. So let me fast forward to that. So going into this tunnel here, this is the first one. You can wall ride this to slow yourself down and take the corner. You're going into it full speed basically, and then you can ride on this gutter here, like a reverse gutter basically, a little bit. I kind of fell off of it, but you can definitely ride on that if you want to. All right, in the next tunnel, there is a strategy where you wall ride here. To properly wall ride, you really need a lot of NOS, or you need to be going really fast. I recommend not wall riding on this one because of the pro racing modifier. We don't have any NOS, and it really just doesn't work that well. It's not really consistent. Now, if you got it like perfectly, if you got it really, really well, I think it could work and it could be faster. But I would recommend just downshifting, taking this corner like normal. I actually went up onto the other gutter, and I didn't mean to do that, but this is how I ran my fastest time, and I tested it both ways. Anyways, that is it for this race. So let's move on to the feats. All right, so this advice goes for all 3 feats. You do not need to go fast. You just need to finish it. You need to make sure you hit every slalom gate. Make sure you're not missing any of those. And you need to have a score breaker set of parts. That's this part set right here with skilled as your affix and pure. And you really don't even need pure. You just need score breaker and skilled. Make sure they're maxed out and you're going to get a good score no matter what you do. Doesn't really even matter what cars you're using. You could use racing cars. You could use AGP. I think there's a couple of restrictions. So you're going to have to use Ferrari Racing for one of them. And then I think you have to use a 488 GT3 on the other one. It doesn't really matter. Just put score breaker on the cars you use. You will get a good score. It does not matter how fast or how accurate you are or any of that stuff. You can go slow, you can go fast, you can use NOS. It doesn't matter, but you're going to get a good score regardless. I got 18,248. That gives me 157. It's basically a full score. If I fast forward to the next one, again, not really doing much. This is a completely open feat. I ended up using the F40 again, and I got 19,314 and 157.7. Again, it's basically a full score. On the next one, I think I did the same thing. Oh, this was with the 599. I'm sorry. So 599X Evo. Again, not really going that fast. And I ended up with 27.7, which gave me 157,846, which is almost full speed. Anyways, that is really it for the slaloms. You just need the parts. And if you don't have the parts, get as many as you can. If you get 3 score breaker parts, you're going to get like, was it 50% or 25% more score? Any little bit helps. So grind those gold parts, get your score breaker. And that's kind of it. All right, here are my final scores. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you send me a DM on Instagram or Discord if you have any questions. My DMs are always open and I read every single message that comes my way. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this helps, and I will catch you on the next one. Trigger out.